What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, Kieng and I talk about the world's meta. When it first dropped, we got together on Discord just to talk about the meta. So this video format is a lot different than what you guys are used to, but it is going to be very informative. So if you guys want to stick around and watch Kieng and I talk about the meta, that is going to be the bulk of the video. But if you want to see some battles, which aren't against Kieng had to go out. He's been pretty busy as of late. So have I, working a lot of overtime to help compensate for my time away. But the battles are against some of the moderators from one of my Discords. So there are some awesome battles. So timestamps are going to be down below, guys. If you just want to jump ahead to the battles and see those, be sure to check out those timestamps. If you want to listen to Kieng and I talk about the World Cup meta and what we're going to see, that's going to be the bulk of the video. So, like always, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all the latest Pokemon Go PvP content. Without further ado, let's get right into the World Cup meta. Yeah, the limitations, it's like, oh, you can only choose two. It's like, you got, you're watching like, the Marvel series, and it's like, pick two superheroes to fight with you, and you're like, oh crap, who do I choose? Like, but I think that the important thing is the coverage that it gives you. And then what you decide to choose. If whatever you don't choose, you kind of need to have an alternate for that. Like, you got to have that backup, So like Metachan has a lot of backups. People that or Pokemon that are similar to Metachan, right? They do the same kind of role. Same with like Skarmory and Venusaur. There's like other roles that can be done. But I think I think we're going to see a lot of Azumarill. Like you and I had mentioned, or you had mentioned to me when this first dropped. And then I think a lot of people will like lean towards Skarmory as their second, or Metachan, or Probopass. But I think it's all going to start with Azumarill, because Azumarill is just such a tank and so great endgame. And it can soak so much damage that it's going to be like, even though Metachan's the highest ranked one, I think Azumarill will be the most common one we see.
For sure. I think Azumarill's like one of the hardest Pokemon to counter, and especially they took away basically the three best grass Pokemon away from Azumarill.
Yeah.
Trick is generally too frail besides Lantern, which Lantern would be an interesting pick if people do go down that route. And then it's just like such a flexible pick. Okay. But I'll be interested in seeing what movesets people do run.
Yes, that'll be critical. Yeah.
I think most people will run Play Rough.
Yeah.
Just for the mirror. Just run Ice Beam or Hydro Pump.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Hydro Pump was mostly used for the Skarmory matchup, or for the Probopass or Bastodon or Malmetal matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like not a very low probability. Well, first off, they can't bring Malmetal, and then lower probability that you're going to encounter a Probopass and Bastodon relative to regionals.
Yeah, and do you think that probability is going to be lower than encountering some type of grass user, whether it's the top, like the banned, not the banned picks, but the limited picks, or an Ivysaur or something of that sort?
I think people will run Ivysaur, and then I think instead of run, the thing is like, we'll see what people choose to run. Like Probopass does have against Azumarill than Bastodon, especially if the Azumarill runs Hydro Pump. But even without Hydro Pump, it's a much better matchup. You would choose to run Lantern as an anti-flyer. But Bastodon is also really good for all these like kind of like off meta type picks that people might choose to run, just because it's so tanky, and then as well can deal a decent amount of damage with Smackdown.
Yeah, absolutely. So what if you could right now, if you could choose two, what would be your two? And I think it's sounding like Azumarill Bastion, but what would be your two?
Azumarill Bastion is it seems like a pretty good combination to me. And then yeah, that seems like a pretty good combination to me. But you could also like, where people zig and you might zag, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of people will be really scared to run Medicham.
Yeah.
And people might also think that people won't run Medicham, right? So then if
yeah.
someone doesn't have any checks to Medicham, which I don't, well, people will have Azumarill, but even then, if your only check to Medicham is Azumarill, then
you might be in trouble.
Then you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, which is why like my team is right now my tentative. I've been forming different teams, but it's like I went back to what did so well for me in regionals, and it was that Azumarill Probopass Haunter lineup. So then I'm thinking like, okay, Azumarill's a lock-in, and then I thought about Probopass. I'm like, I think people will revert to what they are most comfortable with, and I think the most comfortable combination was Azumarill, Skarmory, Medicham, and knowing that you could replace Medicham relatively easy while giving you better coverage. Like a Toxicroak does a lot better against Azumarill than Medicham does, and it does better against other fighters, and it still gives you coverage against the tanks. So I think Toxicroak would be the replace for Medicham, but people may go back to that Azumarill Skarmory as like the anchor of their team. And so that's why I'm kind of going like Probopass for me, because I'm like Probopass covers Azumarill and Skarmory.
Absolutely.
And then it'll force a shield on a Medicham on the swap in if I can't swap out. Like I think I could get a shield.
Yeah, we'll see if people shield, because like even Thunderbolt doesn't do that much damage to a Medicham. Well, I guess you could add Magnet Bomb, which getting off 2 Magnet Bombs will do a decent amount of damage to a Medicham.
Yeah.
But people like, interestingly here, when I look at PvP Poke, the option which is right below the top 9 is Machamp with Cross Chop and Rock Slide. Okay, one second. Sorry, let me take this call.
No.
So, what are your thoughts on Machamp with Cross Chop and Rock Slide? Obviously, Cross Chop is a legacy move.
Yeah, it's legacy, and if you got it, that's really cool. I would love to be able to test it. Like we can run the Sims, but I'd love to see how it actually feels in battle, because I always thought Machamp was a great fighting type.
Super frail. But Cross Chop's only 35 energy.
Yeah.
Which means that it's only like 5 Cross Chops to 5 counters to get to a Cross Chop.
Okay, let me see. Let me run some stuff. Yeah. Oh, it also has Stone Edge. Oh man. Rock Slide. Okay, let's see.
You want Rock Slide anyways.
Yeah. Cross Chops. Oh wow. Yeah, that hits like a truck. Super quick, but he is super frail. I think he would be a good pick. Personally, I think I like Toxicroak better. I think that's just because I'm more familiar with it.
Yeah. Toxicroak gives you access to, well, you could run Sludge Bomb.
Yeah.
And then if you like catch a Azumarill with Sludge Bomb.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then you could have the Mud Bomb, or you could go Dynamic Punch. The Mud Bomb would be for the mirror, for the the tanks and whatnot. But then you could also run like a Dynamic Punch, right? And that Dynamic Punch, if a Whiscash doesn't shield, a Toxicroak's Dynamic Punch, thinking it's just going to be Mud Bomb or Sludge Bomb, it's going to be really surprised, and it'll knock it out. It does, I think it does 100 damage. If we go Toxicroak, Dynamic Punch, and Sludge Bomb versus Whiscash.
Dynamic Punch does 96 damage.
Yeah. And you wouldn't think that's coming. And then you get hit with 96, boom.
Yeah, exactly.
So man.
Shield. Yeah, for sure. Like lots of really great options. In speaking of Whiscash, I imagine Whiscash is going to be one of the most popular options.
Yeah.
Expect the teams to run Whiscash.
Do you think people would run Whiscash and not run a fighter?
It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
It's definitely a possibility. These fighters, like, main reason why people are running Wish Cash, like in Toronto regionals, a lot of people were running Wish Cash to obviously cover against Pass It On, Probopass. Actually, the person who came second in Toronto regionals, Toshi, made a good point. He said like the best counter to Pass It On, Probopass is not Medicham, it's actually Wish Cash.
Yeah.
Which is true, right? Because it resists all their moves.
Yeah.
And you're able to farm up a ton of energy and still do double super effective damage. So
Yeah.
I imagine Wish Cash will be a extremely popular option, and they might forego running a fighter. The thing is, like, fighters, like these fighting Pokemon, are very strong because counter is insane.
Yeah.
On a lot of different Pokemon. So
do you think because of the fact that a lot of people may not run Medicham, they may run other fighters, that we'll see like a mandatory confusion user on a team?
Yeah. Well, I think confusion users will be very popular, because people might anticipate they're gonna run other fighters, especially Toxicrow, using that as part of the psychology. I think popular ones are ones that we saw in regionals, like Gallade, not Gardevoir, Gallade.
Yeah.
But I think we'll also see Hypno being run, because Hypno is extremely tanky, has a pretty wide move pool.
Absolutely. And then it's got the Shadow Ball Focus Blast, which is going to hurt, a good majority of Pokemon if you don't shield.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of Pokemon, at least in the top of the meta, that resist Shadow Ball.
Yeah.
So we'll do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Well, like alternatives to Skarmory or Altaria.
Yeah, so I think Noctowl is going to be the #1 alternative. I think it's great as the alternative. Also, Goldbat I think is going to be another alternative. Like, it's going to be between those two if we're wanting to run the flyer for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are two very good options.
Yeah.
Noctowl probably a little bit better if people choose to run Ghost.
Which do you think people will run Sableye? Because Sableye was there as the Medicham check, but if how we're thinking, right? You and I both wouldn't choose Medicham. I think a good majority of other people would be thinking along the same line. So we may not even see a lot of Medichams, even though it's the #1 ranked. We may not see it. So someone who brings a Haunter or someone who brings a Sableye may have just lost like a pick there.
I do think Sableye, for the most part, has a ton of neutral matchups. Like, even when Sableye gets matched up with Azumarill, like, as long as you can like bait out both shields, or you end up with like this big energy advantage, hit someone with a foul play, and like, again, not a lot of things in this meta resist move. So certainly a viable option to have Sableye in my opinion, over Haunter.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it has more neutral matchups than Haunter.
Yeah.
But Haunter does hit really hard, and you always have to wonder whether or not they have Sludge Bomb or Shadow Ball.
Yeah, which I have both now. I have both variants.
People are gonna know which one's gonna run based on the CP, right? Because they're gonna see how
they land at the same CP.
Oh, they land in the same CP?
Yeah. Awesome. You don't know till you get hit. Yeah, they landed. Oh yeah, they landed the same CP, which is I was just laughing when that happened. And I'm holding off because I have Lick Shadow Ball right now, right? So I'm holding off on changing Lick in case they do something. I don't know what Lick would be changed. Like if they, I don't know if they did something to fast moves and Lick was one of them because it was underperforming. So I'm gonna hold on to that for a little while, but I am working on walking my Sableye so that I have enough candy to get it ready for Worlds if I am gonna bring it, because that 4 times candy this week. So what? Okay, let's look. So we've talked about our flyers. We talked about Azumarill. A little bit. We've talked about basically our fighters, but what about our grass? Do you think people, knowing that everyone's gonna bring Azumarill, do you think people will do a second pick as like a Venusaur, or will they just forego the grass limited picks and go for the backup options?
I think people will go. Will bring a grass or a pseudo grass,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's Ivysaur or Gallade,
Mm-hmm.
because like um, it still has Vine Whip. Power Whip is not Frenzy Plant, but still does a decent amount of damage.
Yeah.
Um, Ups here, I guess it doesn't have like huge, and then as well, like a lot of people bringing a Azumarill, uh, makes it kind of a. Actually, looking, I'm running some sims right now, and the two shields match up against the great general sims,
Okay.
unlike Venusaur.
Yeah.
0 and 1 shield, it just barely over 50% wins, and then under 2 shields in the lead position, it actually loses more than 50% of the time.
Hmm.
So it doesn't have like amazing matchups, and that's probably because it's doesn't have frenzy play. Unlike Venusaur, Venusaur is above 60% in the 0 shields against
Yeah.
the entire meta.
Yeah.
It's probably above 60% in all 3 scenarios. That like little bit, it's just above 50% under 2 shields, which I guess kind of makes sense because kind of damage. But I think people will either choose to run Ivysaur or run Gallade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Wise if people run both
Yeah, I think
because
I like Gallade as that option because if someone brings that Toxicroak, that Machamp, or something, I have Confusion, and then on top of that I got Leaf Blade, and then on top of that I got Close Combat. So it's like a three. It's like my Swiss Army knife, to handle stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna have to use shields on it to get its utilization out. But if I can swap into a non-Metachan fighter for a couple confusions and then have close combat leaf blade as my Swiss Army knife for whatever comes in next. I think Gallades, we're gonna see quite a bit of Gallades. I wouldn't say it'd be on every team, but I think it's gonna be sprinkled for sure.
yeah, for sure. And then, what do you think of alternatives to Bastion and Probopass?
Oh, that's that's the hard thing is right, we have their role was to like wall the flyers. I think Lantern could do that pretty well. Maybe a Charge Beam Thunderbolt variant to really lock down Azumarill and Skarmory. Steelix again is a nice alternative, but it still wins, but not as dominant, right? Its matchups looking here is like the 500, so you barely win against some of these flyers. It's not as prevalent as a 800 rating battle rating against it. So I think Steelix and Lantern I think would be all our alternatives to lock down flyer rolls.
Yeah, I think more people will favor Lantern because it does have a little bit more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see people run Steelix.
Yeah, especially Gemma.
Especially Gemma. Get that shiny Steelix.
Yeah.
Watch it appear. Actually, I'm looking interesting here. Sorry to jump back and forth.
No, that's fine.
But Blaziken with
Oh, yeah.
Blaze Kick might be an interesting pick.
I noticed that
As
it can beat Noctowl, which is kind of interesting. It can beat
Well, I guess
it can beat Noctowl in the 1-1, but it loses in the 0-0 and the 2-2. I guess
yeah,
it's that blast burn. It's being able to get to blast burn. 110 damage. Oh.
ridiculous.
Oh
Ridiculous.
man.
Again, control matchup, right? So I wouldn't. I wouldn't be so shocked if one person ran it, but I don't expect it to be a very, very popular option.
No, because you still gotta worry, right, about like Azumarill. You gotta worry about those water types. You still gotta worry about flying. I mean, yes, you have Blast Burn and Blaze Kick, but unless Blaze Kick gets some kind of crazy PvP buff, allowing you like to go for Blaze Kicks over Blast Burn, I don't know. I could see it working, but not like consistently against everything. If that makes sense. It's gonna get checked really easily.
Yeah, for sure. Any sleeper picks like as you go down this ranking list?
Let me get back to the rankings. Wormadam, trash.
Where's that?
35. 35. No, not as I didn't even realize that it was like it was even on the roster. I was surprised that it was 35 because it's just like it's recently there. I think sleepers. Ooh. I think if people can't handle a Alolan Marowak, it might be a sleeper. Especially since it's beating a lot of the fighters and it can handle Azumarill decently well, especially not Hydro Pump. If it's Ice Beam Play Rough, it can handle Azumarill. And then Shadow Balls are always going to hurt. So I think I'm still going to stick to Alolan Marowak being a sleeper pick. Like if you don't have a check or you're not ready for it, it could take down a team.
Yeah, for sure.
What sleepers are you seeing?
I think, it's pretty high up, but under the right use, I think Pokemon like Frostlass, especially like with energy advantage, can do damage, and has like has great moves in terms of Avalanche and in Shadow Ball.
Yeah. Especially like this was in Kingdom Cup, we saw it a lot, but then we had checks for it. We had Steelix, we had Charizard, I believe, was allowed in that, and then Alolan Marowak as well, but that was just who decided the shield twice, basically, or the shield baiting.
And I think we'll see some top players use Vigoroth.
Yeah.
A great move pool. It's also a Pokemon that a lot of people, if they've only done the cups, haven't used a lot. And then as well, there's an upcoming community day, conveniently right before
it. Yeah.
Go Fest. So, I think we'll see some master class play of Vigoroth.
I think we'll see that, and then people who aren't ready for Body Slam. Like, have you been hit by a Vigoroth Body Slam?
I have not.
Oh man, you better be shielding. That thing hurts. Especially on like squishier Pokemon, like it does more damage than you think. Like it's coming in, all right, cool, Body Slam. Maybe it'll take off like a quarter, and it does like half your health, and you're like, wait, what? And then he does another one, and you're like, oh wow, okay. And
right?
And you know what I notice is on his key matchups, right? He beats Noctowl. So the alternate flyer he can beat. Like he wins the 0-0 and he wins the 1-1, but he ties on the 2-2. And that's just from Body Slams.
Easy too. It can also beat Low and Marowak.
Yeah. And it can beat, let's see, let's check like Skarmory or something. Let's check Skarmory. Oh, it beats Skarmory in the 2-2. Like, decently. Oh, man. Let's check Azumarill. Hydro Pump variant. Oh, man, it beats Azumarill in the 2-2.
No, I was like, no way Azumarill loses. Oh, wow, Jesus.
Oh, man, let's check Ice Beam.
Slam spam. But I think if someone brings the Ice Beam one, I think it's Azumarill wins.
Yeah.
Which is like another reason to bring Ice Beam is that it does like as like people prolong. If you bring Azumarill as a closer, I think Hydro Pump makes more sense. If
Yeah.
you bring Azumarill
It's like a
as an
mid
opener,
game. Yeah, opener mid game. Yeah.
game, and then it makes sense to have Ice Beam
Yeah.
just for these bets. But Vigoroth is, if I was your listeners, I would definitely, and I was going to Worlds, I would definitely be practicing my Vigoroth game
Yeah.
or understanding like how to counter it.
What would you think? So let's here. I'm gonna go back to his top counters. What would you think would pair well then with Vigoroth if we're creating like miniature little lineups and we're using like Vigoroth as our like our all
Well, I
star?
think your biggest fear with Vigoroth is fighters,
Yeah.
right? So I think like Hypno would do really well, would pair really well
Oh yeah.
with Vigoroth, especially if they don't have a ghost on their team.
Yeah. So if
And then
they're not
people are not
running a Sableye or a like Umbreon or something.
exactly, and then people are not going to be as familiar. People are familiar with Hypno from Nightmare, but they're not familiar with Hypno outside that like wider meta context.
Yeah.
So they might not understand like what beats or doesn't beat Hypno on their team.
Yeah. But we are talking about,
Very best,
arguably
yeah.
the very best in the world who are going. So I expect everyone to be very prepared, and I don't know. I think, yeah, Vigoroth is looking strong. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'm going to start practicing. I'm going to send you some battles with Vigoroth.
Exactly. So I think Vigoroth will be one of those Pokemon that people haven't used and will be very difficult to beat.
Yeah.
I also think like Pokemon like Blastoise will be interesting more so in the closed game because I don't think it's that great as a lead.
No. Yeah.
Takes too long. It's just like it's not doesn't take that long to get to Hydro Cannon, but it's that much slower than on
Yeah. Oh, man.
an alternative to Azumarill.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely an alternative to Azumarill. Not as tanky, but it hits hard. So, yeah. Oh man, this is exciting. Just looking at Vigoroth more, I'm like, I might want to bring this. This looks like a lot of fun. Oh man.
But yeah, Vigoroth could definitely cause a lot of problems to your opponent's team, especially if they don't match up that well. And Bulldoze gives it like really great coverage as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like Lantern, Bastiodon, like just these like big meta Pokemon. It could just hit it like a truck. I'm not sure how hard it would. If we look at Bastiodon, I'm sure it would one-shot it. 68 damage on Bastiodon, but still.
All those counters in the up to
yeah, the counters and body slam, shield bait. Yeah. Man, Vigoroth. Shiny Vigoroth. Isn't it like pink or something?
I'm not sure what that is.
Oh.
Yeah, so it could it would do a ton of damage to it.
Mm-hmm. So
interesting.
So if you were to pick a team right now, have you been thinking about teams like picking a 6-man roster?
If I were to pick a team, let me just go off the top of my head right now. So
yeah.
If I were to pick my team, I would go Azumarill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gotta think about like compliments to the. So I picked Vigoroth as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would pick Wishcash.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably pick Gallade.
Mm-hmm.
And then what am I missing there? And then maybe Noctowl.
Okay, so you got.
It's off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Let's see, you got Noctowl. My phone will load. So you got Azumarill, Whiscash, Gallade, Noctowl, and Vigoroth. So you'd be.
So like Lantern would be a threat, but I still have Wish Cash for it, and I still have Vigoroth for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Gallade for like any other opposing fighting Pokemon.
Yeah. And then so we'd need a 6 if Vigoroth shows up here. The phone's really slow today. Vigoroth. Alright, so you got Azumarill, you got Whiscash, Noctowl as your fire, Gallade as your Swiss Army knife, grass attacker, confusion user, Vigoroth as the body slam champ, and then your last spot.
Bastiodon.
Bastiodon. You'd lock in that Bastiodon?
I think so. Just to, yeah, probably lock in Bastiodon for this one.
Yeah. Do you
Like
think
Pokepass
enough people will bring the flyers to be able to use that?
I think it just like beats a lot of the, like if someone brings in a low in Marowak.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Beats it.
And basically, you're looking
beats
at.
like
Sorry,
yeah, and if people are bringing, if people people have checks for it, like regardless whether it's Wish Cash, another Mud Boy, or a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can draw those out, I think it can like definitely sweep some teams.
Yeah, especially if looking here, if you had Bastiodon with Gallade, so Gallade would check the fighters and the grass. Man.
Or, yeah, the Caesar.
Yeah. Or the fighting, sorry. Yeah. Wow, okay. So that's King's team if he was to bring it right now. Game day happening, championships right now.
How about you? What are you thinking?
Oh man. So, I think my 2 picks would be Azumarill and Probopass. I like Probopass against the Flyers and Azumarill. And then I would have Gallade, I think, as my Swiss Army knife. So help cover the Mud Boys, help cover some of the fighters. We'll see. Let's get back to my team. I've had a few lineups here picked. I want to test out Vigoroth, but right now I got Toxicroak because I like that not only can it handle the Bastiodons out there, but it can also handle Azumarill very well. So it's kind of a counter to Azumarill in itself. And then I'm tentative right now on Haunter, but I like how Haunter did for me in regionals. And it's basically there if there's a Metachan on that team, and especially if they don't have a Sableye or something to stop it, or a Gallade. And then my last pick right now is Umbreon. So no flyer, but I want to stop. Basically, I want to stop that Sableye that I think is going to be around a lot that'll lock down my Gallade and Haunter. So I have Umbreon there for that. But I'm not...
I don't think you need a flyer either.
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, the flyers were meant to cover like the grass and Metachan, but I think I cover that with Gallade, with Haunter, with Toxicroak. So I think I have enough checks that the flyer role is kind of fulfilled, but then I have some stops to things that could really hurt my team. Granted, Whiscash could do some work to my team, but I do have Gallade with the Leaf Blade, which I would have to land. But yeah, that's kind of tentatively that's what I made up while I was at work today. Just thinking about it. I haven't dove in at all. Like tonight, I'm gonna start diving into matchups and really see. And I'm hoping that spreadsheet that the Go Stadium guys do and Elite Four TV does, because that really helps. But
go to those Lead 4 TV and Go Stadium.
Oh yeah, I love all the work that they do. I just like silently read it in the background, but I think everyone does, especially those who want to be competitive. It's good, you know, soaking in all the information that you can from every angle, because there's always something new you could see. Like you talking about Vigoroth today. I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's got bulldoze. Oh.
Exactly. So a lot of really interesting moves that it could run. So it should be interesting.
Definitely should. All right, so getting right into these battles, I lead with Azumarill and he leads with Lantern, and this is a Charge Beam Lantern, so this isn't a great situation for me. I switch to Victory Bell, and look at this Razor Leaf damage. He did tell me he was trying to switch, but it wasn't working, which is okay. These are practices, but he gets off the Thunderbolt. We're not going to shield that. He swaps into Metachan. Now watch this, guys. Acid Spray, right? Victory Bell with Acid Spray is very deadly. As you guys are going to see, we Acid Spray the Metachan. We're going to shield this move. I know you guys will be like, why are you shielding? You have no health left? Watch. Razor Leaf is destroying the Metachan. This is absolutely crazy. So I just took 2 of his Pokemon down to no health with Victory Bell alone. So I'm really liking what's happening right here. We're going to come in Azumarill because we know he has a power-up punch, and that Probopass doesn't like power-up punch. So we bring in Azumarill. Azumarill is going to finish off the Metachan. He is probably going to bring in that Lantern again. So let's see what happens. He decides to bring in the Lantern, which has no health, and then we get off the Ice Beam right here. We're able to get off the Ice Beam, and he doesn't, he does shield. He does get off the Thunderbolt, however, so we're going to go ahead and shield this right here. And we keep plugging away. Now, I know he's going to get a Thunderbolt off again, so we switch to Probopass, but he switches right away to Sableye. So we're just going to go right for these Rock Slides right here. This is going to be doing a good chunk of damage to a Sableye, as you guys can see. He is going to get his Charge move off, though. This is going to do a decent amount of damage, but not a whole lot. So we're able to finish off the Sableye with Rock Slide, and then we are going to just finish off the Lantern with a Charge Attack. Or Fast Attack, I should say. So GG, we're going to go ahead and move into the next game. Now, in this game, I decide to lead with Toxicroak, and he leads with Noctowl. So this is not a good situation for me. I'm going to instantly bail into Probopass, which is going to be a nice counter for those Flying-type Pokemon, but he bails out of there into Ivysaur. So we're going to go ahead and go for these Rock Slides. Let's see what happens. He doesn't shield, and it does a decent amount of damage. So we're just going to go for another Rock Slide. Now, mind you, this is a Razor Leaf Ivysaur. As you can see, he's not going to get to his Charge move very fast. So I know if I shield right here, which I think I do, I'm going to be able to either burn the second shield or take him out. So we go for the Rock Slide again. This Rock Slide going to be finishing off the Ivysaur there. And then now he has that Noctowl in the back, but we also got to figure out what his third Pokemon is. So he brings in Lantern. So we're just going to try to go for the Thunderbolt here. We're not going to try to fake anything out. We're just going to try to go for the damage. Let's see what happens. He doesn't shield, so it does a decent amount of damage there. Trying to go for another Thunderbolt, but we don't get to it in time. That's okay. So now we're going to bring in Toxicroak, and Toxicroak with that Mud Bomb going to be doing a ton of damage. So this Thunderbolt right here, we are going to shield, but he does a great job at swapping right as I get the Mud Bomb off. So now I have to switch to Azumarill, and then he still has a shield, and Noctowl having Sky Attack is going to do some decent chunk to Azumarill. So the Sky Attack, as you guys can see, does just about a quarter health, but Ice Beam is going to be doing really well against a Noctowl. So we get the Ice Beam off. He does not shield, so it does a decent amount of damage. He is able to get another Sky Attack off, though. So now we are just hoping he doesn't get to a Sky Attack, and we try to finish him with fast moves, which we do. We go straight for the Ice Beam, but his Lantern does have charge moves, and my timer isn't up right now, and he is just storing tons of energy on me. So now I have to bring in the Toxicroak. He is going to get off the Thunderbolt, which is not enough to finish me off, and now it is a race, but he has a second Thunderbolt, so he barely squeaks by me right there. Very good game, and we're going to move into the next match. Now, in this match, I decide to lead with Toxicroak again. He leads with Metachan, which I can win this situation in the one shield scenario where we both shield once, but he wins the 0-0 and the 2-2. So we're just going to go for Mud Bombs here, hoping that maybe he doesn't shield one. He shields the first one. Okay, so this Power-Up Punch I'm not going to shield because it's not going to do as much damage. But the thing is, his counter's really going to start destroying me here, and he gets to another Power-Up Punch right away. So I am going to shield that because I would like to burn his second shield or do a decent chunk of damage to the Metachan with this Mud Bomb, which we do burn the second shield, which is okay. So I'm happy with that right there. But let's see what happens. So we have Azumarill. So I'm going to bring in the Azumarill. Not going to have to shield anything he has, but he bails out of there. He comes in with Lantern. So I switch immediately to Probopass. That Probopass, right, going to be doing some decent damage to a Lantern. He is probably getting off Hydro Pump here, so I do decide to shield, but it's Thunderbolt. So he did a great job baiting me, knowing that I need to shield that Hydro Pump. So I do get the Thunderbolt off, but the thing is he has some extra stored energy. So he's going to be able to get to the Hydro Pump in time right here to take me critically low. I don't get off the Thunderbolt, I should say. If I was able to get that, that would have been great. Now I'm going to store energy and then go for the Play Rough here, knowing he has no shields. This will take the Lantern out. Now he does have Metachan in the back, but his third Pokemon, I'm not sure what it is. So he brings in Sableye, so I'm able to get off the Play Rough right here, which will take out the Sableye. And then I will be able to farm some energy, but he does get off a charge move just in time, and this will be just enough to take me really low for the enemy Metachan, who has tons of stored energy. He has Power-Up Punch ready to go, plus extra stored energy, so I'm going for this Ice Beam, but he is able to get another Power-Up Punch right away, and just before I can get the Ice Beam, he takes me out. Oh man, what a game. That was absolutely incredible. We're going to move into the final match. I'm going to lead with Azumarill this time. He leads with Metachan, so this is positive for me. Now, I'm expecting him to bail after he stores energy, which he does. He bails to Azumarill, so I'm going to bail to my Victory Bell. Now, this Victory Bell doing tons of damage. I am going to have to shield this. This Ice Beam would hurt a lot. So we are going to shield, and we are just going to spam away. Now this Ice Beam again will hurt, but if I shield it, like I do here, the next Pokemon that comes in, I will be able to absolutely shred apart with Acid Spray and Razor Leaf. So the next Pokemon he has coming in is going to be a Noctowl, so we're going to go for the Acid Spray, and Noctowl going to be a good counter for Victory Bell, but when it has Acid Spray on it, let's see what happens. We start absolutely chunking this thing. Look at its health just disappear. Victory Bell doing absolute work. So we are going to come in with the Azumarill. We have a stored Ice Beam. He is going to get the Sky Attack off. We go ahead and get our Ice Beam off here. This is most likely going to burn a shield. So we do get one shield, and we have a little bit of extra stored energy, but he's going to keep getting off these Sky Attacks because he stored so much energy from my Victory Bell, but we are going to be able to finish off with fast moves, and I switched to Hypno so that he couldn't take out my Azumarill, which I need from the Metachan, and I switched to it to soak that Sky Attack. Now this Metachan going to be getting off his charge moves. Power-Up Punch not going to be doing a lot. All I need to do is get to this Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball will either KO or take the Metachan, take his shield away. So we get the Shadow Ball, which should burn the shield here. And then he is going to finish off my Hypno. But remember, my Azumarill has stored energy, so I'm going straight for the Play Rough. But he gets off the Power-Up Punch, which is barely not enough to finish me off. I get the Play Rough off. He has no shields. That is GG. Very well played. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you guys found it informative. So be sure to smash that like button and comment down below and let me know what you guys think about the the Worlds Cup meta. What would you bring if you were in the Worlds Tournament? And if you are in the tournament, be sure to let me know and what tournament you are going to be at. So, you know, I can have a heads up of who's all going to be there and who I get to meet, whether it's in Chicago or Dortmund. So like always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.